I spent hours trying to recreate film's look manually. Then I discovered a plugin that does this in seconds. It's called Dehancer, and here's the part that surprised me the most about it. Keep in mind that this isn't just another preset pack or an Instagram filter. Watch this transformation. Authentic film grain that actually moves naturally. That's great. In the next few minutes, I'm gonna show you exactly how to get professional film looks in both Lightroom and DaVinci Resolve, which are the apps that I use. Although this plugin is available for virtually every Audi editor too. Plus, I'm gonna show you 3 critical settings that separate amateur results from professional-grade film emulation. I'm Cesar, an engineer, product manager, and photographer, and I've tested many film simulation tools over the past years. And as a bonus, I'll show you the mobile workflow too, because consistency across all of your devices is key. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Digital photography and video have given us incredible technical control. Sharp, clean, and flexible. As an engineer, I love that precision. But here's what nobody talks about. Digital perfection can feel a little bit sterile. You nail the exposure, you color grade like a pro, hit every technical mark, but something's missing. That warmth, that subtle imperfection, that soul you get from classic film stuff. And I've been down the rabbit hole for a long time. Layering fake grains that look pasted on, hunting through hundreds of LUTs that promise authentic film looks, but delivering cheap vibes. Spending hours tweaking curves, trying to recreate magics of Kodak Vision 3 or Fuji Eterna, but not really getting there. And here's the kicker though, even when I nailed the look, it never was consistent. Each project became a new puzzle to solve, and my workflow became a time sink instead of a creative tool. If you've ever looked at your digital work and thought, why doesn't this feel right? Or how do I get that film magic without spending my entire weekend in post? Well, you're definitely not alone. Actually, let me ask you something. Drop a comment right now and tell me what's your biggest frustration when trying to get film looks. Is it the time it takes? Is it the inconsistent results? Or maybe you never tried it because it's just too complicated. I genuinely want to know where you're struggling, because what I'm about to show you addresses these pain points. So, Dehancer changed my approach to film emulation. And it's not just about speed, though that 3-hour manual process now takes seconds. It's about authenticity. Look at this comparison. Manual grading on the left and Dehancer on the right. There is a difference, and it only took a few seconds. Okay, enough talking and let's actually get to it. What I'm gonna be doing here is editing a picture and using Dehancer in Adobe Lightroom CC. But this is also available, of course, in Photoshop, in Lightroom Classic, and Affinity Photo. So if you're using any of those, feel free, because it's gonna be pretty much exactly what I'm gonna be doing here. So even before you start doing Dehancer and before you open the plugin or anything like that, what you would want to do is edit the picture and color correct it as much as possible. Why? Because you don't want to be slapping any film simulations or presets or anything on top of something that it's not yet even corrected. So let me start with that, and then we're gonna go really quickly to Dehancer. Okay, so here I have a picture that I'm happy with in terms of the edits, and from this point on I can open Dehancer and start adding the film simulations. So what I will do is right click and then edit in and pick in the Dehancer Lightroom plugin. From this point on, Lightroom will call Dehancer, open up the photo there, and once you save it, then it will go back to Lightroom. Here you would see that by default, in my case, it is adding a film preset that looks quite all over the place, let's say. Why this is happening? It's because I was using this film preset from before. So what Dehancer is doing is pretty much saving that last edit that you had and putting it on top of the picture that you just opened. In some cases that may work, especially when you want to kind of batch edit a bunch of pictures, because there's no such a functionality in Dehancer, but in this case it doesn't work because this film simulation doesn't really fit the picture that I'm currently editing. So it's really quickly to move away from this. You just go to the left side panel and pick the film simulation that you think fits best. I'm gonna click around and let's try to see which one actually works good. One simulation that I've liked before is, for example, the Kodak Ektar 25, which is the one that I'm gonna pick for now. And I think that for the most part, and right off the bat, it already makes it look quite nice. It has that nostalgic film look, but let's add a couple of other things, because you can call it a day at this point, but Dehancer also allows you to do more than this. You can also fine tune a bunch of other settings. The one that I like to always add is halation, and you can find it on the right side panel alongside all of the other settings that you can fine tune. So I'm gonna go to halation and enable it. And for the ones that don't know what halation is basically that red halo around the highlights. And I like to keep it in the middle, so 35 is quite fine, because if I go 8, for example, it will add quite a lot. And I mean, I could go custom and fine-tune a bunch of other stuff, but I think that with 35 this picture looks quite nice. So another thing that I would add in my pictures is film grain. So if I select it right off the bat and use one of the predefined film grains, I feel like it's a little bit too much. So in this case, I do like to do custom changes. So in this case, I want to keep it subtle. I don't want to keep it too extreme because then that a digital picture look like an analog one. So let's bring it a bit down in terms of size, amount as well. Pretty much all of the settings I like to reduce a bit in different amounts so that it doesn't look too extreme. You can play around as much as you want here. There are so many options. But again, as I mentioned, even putting the film simulation already can give you a picture that looks already quite nice. So in this case, I think I'm happy with how it looks so far. I think overall for this picture, we are good. So what I would do here is actually just go here on the top right, click OK, and wait for Lightroom to open up. And once Lightroom opens, it will show me this dialog for which I would just need to do finish. And in this case, the picture will just pop up in your Lightroom. You cannot see it right now because my camera is here, but I can move to the next picture really quickly and you can see the before and the after. Again, it's all about the subtle changes and not about trying too hard for digital pictures to look like analog ones. It's just about the mood and the feel. So that is it for Lightroom. Again, if you have Photoshop, Lightroom Classic or Affinity Photo, the process is very simple and very similar to this. And the other thing that I want to show is of course Dehancer, not only in a computer but on the mobile phone. Right now I'm using their iPhone app and it's gonna have the very same flow and process as the one that you just saw in the Lightroom version. I have opened an image here already in Dehancer mobile and I put it in original, but you can go in the same way as with Lightroom, go for the last settings that you've done before, which by the way look quite okay for this picture already, but you can pick any other preset that Dehancer makes available for you. And I think in this case maybe even this one looks quite nice. Let's have a look at which other things are around. And by the way, this picture has been taken with my phone, so that has its own limitations in terms of dynamic range, but you can put pictures that you took with your camera on your phone and also make some edits. In this case, I think I'm gonna go with something simple, such as this one right here. Codec Vision 3 200T. Okay, again, and following the same logic, this is just the preset and you can make changes on top of this. And that's what I'm gonna do. So in this case, for example, I'm gonna change the exposure a bit to be less contrasty and so that we can see a bit more from the shadows part. Saturation, I'm gonna keep the same, and that's in terms of print, because here below you will see all of the changes. Here in films, you can also change that from the edit if you want. I'm gonna leave it the way it is. And I'm not gonna change any colors. Maybe the green I would change a bit, add a little green. That looks quite okay. And film grain, what I would do is very similar to the other case, just add a little bit of it so that it has some nice look here. Also in the shadows, halation as always. In this case, I'm gonna go for the 35. Yeah, maybe a little bit more in this one. Yes, I think in this one, adding more halation actually makes a bit more sense. One other thing that I like to add that I didn't add to my last picture is bloom. And here I'm gonna go for a bit of bloom, maybe not the 8mm but the 35. Yeah, I think that's quite nice. No vignette here. And another thing that you can add, not only on this version on mobile, but also in the computer version, is film damage. And you would be asking yourself, why would that damage to my picture? Well, that adds that extra touch of realness that you will have in an actual analog picture. So in this case, what you would see, and I already added it, is that you will find some things here and there. For example, these little scratches that you would find in actual analog pictures, and you can add more, you can add less, you can also customize the pattern in which this happened. This is part of what Dehancer allows you to do in terms of flexibility, and for me, I think it's amazing. And for example, I can add way more dust if I want. You can add this. You can now see these little dust dots that pretty much tell you, hey, this is a picture that has been taken with an old school camera. You can add some hairs.
because why not? And I think, and here by long pressing on the picture itself, you can see the before and after, and I think that we're looking at a picture that looks quite nicely. From this point on, what you would do, of course, is just click on exporting, and you can export it directly to your gallery. But that's about it. Film simulations done on your phone in a very simple and quick way to use.
Now let me give you my honest take after using it for a while. To be honest, I approach every tool with a healthy dose of skepticism, especially when it promises to revolutionize my workflow. And after so much time testing film emulation plugins that barely rise above Instagram filters, I expected more of the same hype. But Dehancer actually surprised me. Here's what sets it apart. The grain feels alive and not pasted on. The color science is actually really good. Colors separate and shift organically like real film. For the first time, my digital shots had that elusive depth and character that it's almost impossible to fake with traditional methods. But let's keep it completely real, Dehancer isn't perfect. It's not for everyone. First, it costs money monthly, so if you're just starting out or edit occasionally, then it might be overkill. Then there's a learning curve. While the basic film stocks work great out of the box and just take seconds, mastering the advanced control takes some time. You will need to understand how real film behaves to get most out of it. But also here's why I keep using it. The time savings are massive. What used to take me hours of manual grading now happens in minutes, and if I really want to go just for the film stock, it happens in seconds. More importantly, I finally have just unified the looks across my work. Photos, videos, and mobile content as well. Everything now feels cohesive. For anyone who values both quality and efficiency and also wants their digital work to have authentic analog character, this is the closest I've found to the real deal. So let me share with you 3 tips I've learned that most tutorials don't cover. First of all, and this is very important, don't just apply Dehancer and call it done. Do your basic color correction first, then apply the film emulation, and then do some tweaks. Think of it like the film development process. You expose the film, you develop it, and then you do final printing adjustments. Second, match your film stock to your content. For example, Kodak Vision 3 for narrative cinematic work, Fuji stocks for commercial vibrant content, or use vintage stocks like Kodachrome for that nostalgic retro vibe. Each stock has its own personality, so use it intentionally. And third, pay attention to the grain size relatively to your output resolution. Fine grain, for example, looks great on high-resolution displays, but can disappear on mobile. Coarser grain, on the other hand, maintains character across all viewing platforms. With this, you should be able to go out, take pictures, and edit them directly with Dehancer. And if you're just getting into photography and feel a bit shy about it, you can have a look at the video that I made with 5 ideas on what to shoot if you are an introverted street photographer. Check it out over here. Alright, now full transparency time. If you decide to try Dehancer through my link, which is in the description and also somewhere here, you will get a discount and I'll get a small commission. The Dehancer team contacted me in order to try it out, but they have no say in what I'm saying in this video. I'm actually obsessed with building better creative systems, and I'm super picky with what makes the cut in my workflow. I would only recommend tools that I'm generally using and I trust. So Dehancer actually solved a headache for me. I was spending way too much time trying to hack together film looks, only to end up with inconsistent results and wasted hours. You really don't want to be there. This plugin delivers on both quality and efficiency, 2 things I really care about. Again, if you're curious to try it, you'll get a 10% discount with my link, and whether you're a photographer, videographer, or someone who just wants their digital work to finally feel analog, this is the closest I've found to the real deal. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you tried film emulation plugins before? What's your experience? Are you still battling with manual grading, or have you found something that actually works for your style? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this video gave you a new perspective on post-processing or helps you rethink your creative workflow, click that like button so that I know that it's actually useful for you. And if you're into photography, productivity, or building smarter creative systems, hit subscribe. I drop practical tips and honest reviews, no fluff, just real-world testing and workflows that actually work. See you in the next one.